Imagine stepping off a dusty stagecoach into a bustling frontier town. The air smells like horse sweat, cigar smoke, and something definitely rotting nearby. The saloon doors swing open, and inside, gamblers are slamming down drinks, while a piano player struggles to be heard over the chaos. A cowboy at the bar slams back a shot of whiskey, and across the room, two men argue over a poker game, their hands hovering over their revolvers. This was the real Wild West. Most Wild West towns sprang up overnight, often appearing wherever gold was discovered. Railroads expanded or cattle drives stopped. A few wooden shacks or canvas tents would quickly be thrown together. Then, a general store, a blacksmith, and, most importantly, a saloon. Because no Wild West town was complete without a place to drink, gamble, and get into trouble. But these buildings were often poorly constructed, made from dry wood and tar paper, meaning a single spark could burn down an entire town in minutes. Despite the movies showing lawmen as noble heroes, the reality was far messier. Town marshals and sheriffs were expected to keep the peace, but they were often corrupt, outnumbered, or simply ineffective. Drunken cowboys, outlaws, and feuding gamblers kept towns on edge. And when law enforcement failed, people took justice into their own hands. Vigilante groups formed, delivering their own brand of justice through public hangings, sometimes even for crimes that were barely proven. Gunfights, though less common than Hollywood suggests, were brutal when they happened. The famous gunfight at the OK Corral in the year 1881 lasted only 30 seconds, but it left 3 men dead and 3 others wounded. Life in these towns was hard, and medical care was downright terrifying. Most doctors had little formal training, and many earned their medical degrees through mail-order courses. They performed surgeries without anesthesia, and if you needed a tooth pulled, your only pain relief was a shot of whiskey, if you were lucky. People relied on folk remedies that ranged from questionable to outright deadly. Mercury was used to treat illnesses, and some people believed drinking a mixture of gunpowder and whiskey could cure ailments. If you survived a doctor's treatment, you were one of the lucky ones. Bathing was a luxury few could afford. Indoor plumbing was almost non-existent, and most people bathed in bathhouses where they used the same water as everyone before them. That meant if you were the last in line, you were stepping into a tub of filthy, lukewarm water. Lice, fleas, and bedbugs were a constant problem, which is why so many people kept their hair short or covered their heads with hats. Cowboys may have looked cool in their wide-brimmed hats, but part of the reason they wore them was to keep bugs out of their hair. Food in Wild West towns was far from gourmet. Cowboys on cattle drives survived on a diet of beans, salted pork, and hardtack, a type of rock-hard bread that could break your teeth if you were not careful. Fresh vegetables and fruit were rare, and meat often spoiled in the heat. Coffee was strong enough to wake the dead, and alcohol was treated like water, partly because actual water was often contaminated. Saloon whiskey was sometimes mixed with turpentine, gunpowder, or even snake venom to give it an extra kick. Entertainment in these towns was just as wild as everything else. Saloons were the center of social life, where people gambled, drank, and occasionally settled arguments with their fists or their guns. Traveling performers, medicine shows, and even bear wrestling competitions kept townsfolk entertained. But some entertainment was darker. Public executions drew large crowds, with people treating hangings as a form of social gathering. Children ran through the streets, vendors sold snacks, and people cheered as criminals met their fate. Women in Wild West towns faced their own unique challenges. Most women worked as seamstresses, laundresses, or ran boarding houses. But some found themselves working in saloons or dance halls where life was dangerous. Women who ran businesses had to be tough to survive, and a few, like the legendary Calamity Jane, even made names for themselves as gunfighters and scouts. Mail-order brides were common, with women traveling across the country to marry men they had never met, hoping for a better life on the frontier. Some found happiness, but many found hardship, isolation, and even abuse. Children growing up in Wild West towns lived a life that was equal parts exciting and dangerous. Many started working as young as 6 or 7 years old, helping their families run businesses, working on farms, or even learning trades like blacksmithing. Schools were small, often just a single room, and education was not a priority for most families. especially in rougher towns where survival came first. But that did not mean kids did not find ways to entertain themselves. They played games with handmade toys, ran races, and some even practiced their aim with slingshots, mimicking the gunfighters they saw around town. As time passed, the lawless Wild West began to disappear. The expansion of railroads, telegraphs, and government law enforcement tamed even the rowdiest of towns. By the early 1900s, many Wild West towns had either become proper cities or faded into ghost towns. Their once bustling streets now silent. But the legends lived on, immortalized in dime novels, movies, and cowboy folklore. So, would you have survived in a Wild West town? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like and subscribe button, or you just might find yourself on the wrong end of a duel.